Bergen to Flam, train, bus, and fjord cruise. Hi, I'm Lori, a senior solo traveler, and as part of a Scandinavian journey, I pre-booked a trip from Bergen to Flam. The trip would take me on a train, a shuttle bus, and eventually a boat cruise with some good and bad experiences along the way. I previously posted a video on Bergen, which is a gorgeous city. I have left a link in the description below. This video will cover the trip to Flam, as well as my experience in the town of Flam. I started the day at the Bergen train station and effortlessly boarded a regional train that stopped frequently en route to Voss. It was a scenic trip, but there were numerous tunnels that blocked the view and prevented you from fully enjoying the rivers, waterfalls, gorges, and fjords. I snapped a few quick pictures, but usually by the time I got my camera ready, we were going into another tunnel. Once we arrived in Voss, almost everyone got off the train. No one seemed to know quite where to go, but eventually we found ourselves on a lower level in a line to board 3 shuttle buses. It was a bit of a free-for-all when the buses arrived, but everyone managed to secure their luggage in the outside storage, under their seats, or in the overhead racks. I didn't get a window seat, which I prefer in order to take pictures. However, it didn't really matter because there was consistent rain and fog that hampered the views. At one point we stopped at the Stalheim Hotel, which evidently has spectacular views of a waterfall. This is what it looks like on a good day. This is what it looked like when we arrived. It was a total whiteout. The rest of the bus ride was about the same, with hints every once in a while of beautiful scenery, but mostly the fog was hanging low over the mountains. Eventually we arrived in Gudvangen, where we could board the Fjord cruise. There was a large souvenir shop next to the dock, and many people took refuge from the heavy rain in there. I was torn between taking shelter or getting a good seat on the boat. I opted to stay outside in the rain for 40 minutes to secure my place in line. I had an umbrella, but my feet and luggage got fairly wet. I initially felt like the wait was worth it because I got a fabulous seat near a window. However, the back half of the boat was hotter than the front half and all the windows steamed up. I had to keep wiping them down to see outside. Unfortunately, the fog and rain hampered this excursion too. Sometimes I could see through the fog and realize we were surrounded by very high mountains or cliffs, but usually we could only see below the fog, which wasn't very high. I could see more by stepping outside on the deck, which I did, as well as many people on the boat, but no one stayed long because it was windy and the rain could quickly soak you. Here are some more images of the cruise. The boat ride was about 2 hours and arrived in Flam around 2:15 p.m. Everyone who was on this same journey as me flooded into the restaurants and pubs in order to get some food. I checked into my hotel, grabbed something to eat at one of the restaurants, and then decided to take a short walk around Flam. It was still umbrella weather, so I relegated my walking to the small harbor area. There are some nice views at the far end of the peninsula, a pretty little bridge, and a large hotel with a garden. There are a few restaurants and pubs, as well as some outdoor food vendors. And of course, there are several souvenir shops. Even though it wasn't an ideal situation, I could see how amazing Flam would be if you could explore some of the hiking trails. The setting is lovely, and I imagine that without the rain, it would be postcard picture perfect. Of course, the rain was a disappointment, but a nuisance of which I could live. However, the fog was somewhat heartbreaking. I'm sure everyone on the cruise was a little disappointed. Despite the issues, I still got a sense of the magnificence of this area, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. As I was getting ready for bed, I looked out my hotel window. It had finally stopped raining and everything looked so clear and pristine. The next morning, it was a complete whiteout with fog, but within an hour, the fog had lifted and I had these beautiful views. Take in the pristine waters that are a perfect reflection of the mountains above. Just gorgeous. The morning views gave me another reason to come back and hopefully see Flam and the fjords in a new light. Later in the morning, I took a train ride from Flam to Myrdal, and it was fantastic. No weather issues on this trip. Look for that video in the description below. As always, if you have questions, feel free to ask in the comments section. And if you've been to Flam on a sunnier day, please share your experience. We'd love to hear from you. Check out the Senior Solo Travel website where all my videos are laid out in an easy-to-access format, and the Travel Facebook forum where you can interact with other travelers. I have left links to those sites as well as others from this Scandinavian and Baltic trip in the description below. And if you'd like to follow my senior and solo travel journeys, please like and subscribe. Next stop, Stockholm, Sweden.